Challenger League is over. Forever. It's not coming back in the same state that we knew it from because Ubisoft is moving Esports for Siege away from ESL, and they were the ones who had the name for the league, so for all intents and purposes, CL is now dead. I got to cast its final season alongside some of the best and brightest talent from North America, and there's a few things that I want to go over. For starters, let's talk about this season itself. North American CL wasn't being played for Pro League opportunities. I hope the reasons for this are made clear very soon, because to some people it was clear that playing for a bigger prize pool wasn't something everyone was as invested in. You've historically played CL for the chance to make it to Pro League. Europe still did, and we saw both Isadream and Orglis make it back to the big dance, but both North and Latin America did not see the same opportunities. We still saw a good season with lots of ups and downs, but I think it goes without saying, teams, casters, and viewers would probably be a lot more invested if there was something more long-term on the line for the teams that won. The interesting thing is, in the lack of any promotion, the North American prize pool was increased to give teams more incentive to stick around, yet the whole crew was doing this unpaid and with no expectation of monetary compensation. None. There's been a documented history of this because it's not the first season that everyone knew it would be volunteer work. None of us were paid for the work that we put in behind the scenes. It should have been obvious because the European Challenger League team were given access to the official Rainbow Six Twitch channels, but we had to use our personal channels for each playday. Both myself and Uzumaki used our own streams to broadcast week in and week out. But because of this, Ubi didn't go out of their way to get professional casters for this season, so they used it more as a way to trial new talent rather than get already established people. Guys like Red Cube, Beniao Gold, Cookies, and myself had never done anything above tier 3 that wasn't a qualifier for a big event like the Invitational or something. We also had veterans in Uzumaki, Jesse Chick, Razors, and Azaraki Dragon to balance us out, so it was the perfect mix of both old and new faces, and yeah, I just called Uzumaki old. Get f***ed, Chris. Aha! I was definitely the baby of the group. I knew that heading into the season because I had significantly less casting experience than anyone else. There's a part of me that feels that the chance came way before I thought I was ready for it. I said a long time ago that I wanted to cast at a level of Challenger League, but I got the offer to do it about 2 weeks into making content for Rainbow Six Esports with 0 live casts under my belt. I was low-key pretty scared when I got this offer because I knew how far behind everyone else that I was. Before casting in CL, I had done Invitational 2020 qualifiers, some CL Open quals, and live practice casting over old Allied Esports minor VODs. I didn't do anything for Tier 3 leagues because the North American Tier 3 scene is phenomenal when it comes to starting and stopping new leagues in the same week. It's kind of a mess down here. There were some people, some critics, who were very quick to point out my lack of casting experience and called into question whether I was worthy of that position, and this kind of ate at me for a bit. Trust me, I questioned it too. It felt like I was skipping the line, so to speak, over others who had far more time in the scene than I did. But I'm friends with some guys and gals who work in the T3 scene and have been there for a long time, and I went to them directly and asked if they felt angry or felt like I was passing over them for this gig. They said no, and encouraged me to give it everything I had. And they weren't the only ones. Guys like Zeronic, Intero, Dezichu, Stokes, Raven, guys who've been on broadcast multiple times, many times, also encouraged me to go for it. I think the exact quote from Zeronic was something like, "You'll regret saying no more than you'll regret saying yes," and I think he misspelled the last regret as regurt. And now, after a month-long season, I don't regret a thing. I did a lot better than I thought I was going to, in no small part to the work that Jesse did with me through the first few weeks of the season. He ID'd some issues early on, and I took it to Cast to iron all of them out as the season progressed. I learned a lot about the back-end production, did work on statistics and data entry, helped test out a new mode of broadcasting, a whole other program, and worked with everybody on the team to ensure that we had a smooth stream going, whether I was on broadcast or just moderating the stream if I wasn't. My goal was to make the guys who brought me onto the team convinced that taking the gamble on me was worth it, and all of them afterwards told me that it was. And the way it was received by the viewers was also more positive than I was expecting, so the haters can kiss my ass. I can comfortably put Siegecaster in my Twitter bio and not feel like it was undeserved. It's honestly a really great feeling. Did I do perfectly? No. Because of CL, I now know that my strengths lie in pre-match color commentary and continuing a storyline throughout a whole match, and I felt pretty okay doing mid-match play-by-play, but I feel like I can spend less time on filler during action phases and more time on site breakdowns and attack strategies. Guys like Cookies already have that down, but with him having a previous background as a competitive player, that makes that kind of stuff a lot easier for him to digest and relay. CL was where I could really begin to lock down how I prepare and how I perform, and can also stand as a trial run for anyone who'd like to hire me for opportunities later. Ubisoft? CCS? I don't know, man. I'd like to think I have a future with these guys at some point, but I definitely think the fact that North American CL was almost run as kind of an unofficial thing meant that there were more freedoms that the guys behind the scenes could take, and if they had just filled their lineup with people who had already done casting professionally in a capacity previously, then there wouldn't be a space for me to jump in and try to prove myself. So I owe a lot to the guys who decided to contact me early on, who scouted me out and wanted to bring me in, and I owe even more thanks to everybody when I was already in that circle to helping me understand what I did well, what I did wrong, and letting me just be there, learn as much as I could, blah, 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 blah. This is getting sappy. You guys don't care. I don't know what's next for the scene, and I also don't know what's next for me caster-wise. I think I've improved a lot, but I also wasn't the complete disappointment that some people made me out to be. For now, not casting anything frees up more time to produce content, so you can expect to see me get back into a groove over these next couple of weeks. But before I let you go, on our last CL stream ever, I wanted to give everyone one final thank you for the work that they put into giving the league the sunset that it deserves. So I'll let that clip roll here. For us here in North America, I'd like to thank our casters, Beniao Gold, Cookies, Azaraki Dragon, Razors, Jesse Chick, who is on multiple broadcasts and works specifically with RedCube and myself. A special thanks to him. Uzumaki R6, who also allowed us to use his channel for the Stream B broadcasts. Our two producers, Crater and Ciano, the two guys who have been running everything behind the scenes and making sure that you have a broadcast that is fun day in and day out. Our observers throughout the season, Ty, Keglenek, Carpe Bono Sensum, and Violet Cutie at one point, and we also would like to give a very special thanks to our very good friend, our ESL admin who worked with us this entire time, Mr. Larch Tree Leppy. Thank you all for very, very much for enabling us to do this season. Some of us are brand new to casting at a level as prestigious as Challenger League, and some of us have been doing this for a very long time, but we hope that we were able to make this as good a season as we possibly could. So, for the final time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. We certainly hope that this isn't the last of us on this desk. Take care, have a good night. On behalf of RedCube and everyone in ESL who's been working on these productions, thank you. Have a good night.